in here. So today we are going to talk about the sounding rockets as a design topic, design thinking video. We are going to discuss here. Myself, I am Ramesh, was working as an assistant professor in the Department of Aerospace Engineering, and along with my mentees from Tianjin Aerospace Engineering, we are going to discuss the topic on sounding rockets. About the sounding rocket, just I am going to give an introduction. First of all, what is a sounding rocket? Sounding rocket is a suborbital rocket. Actually, it will move on to nearly the upper surface of the atmosphere or nearly the atmosphere, and it will go for to take some experiments for a short duration only, not for other satellites and rockets and all. And what is sounding rockets? The name itself having sounding. Sounding means it does not relate with the Mach number, because Mach number we know that the velocity of the flight to the velocity of the sound. So here the sounding words originate from the nautical words called to take experiments or to measure. That means to measure. So to measure the atmospheric properties of data for shorter period only, not for longer period. And regarding the altitude, so it can fly about 50 kilometer to 1500 kilometer. That is the maximum altitude of the sounding rocket. Can fly from 50 kilometer to 1500 kilometer, and the duration of the flight about 5 minutes to 30 minutes maximum. So I have already told it is the shorter period only, and you can collect the data from the above near the atmosphere, and it can carry the scientific instruments generally from the payload itself. Some sensors are there, and cameras, everything will be available, and it will take over, and it carry all the scientific instruments and to collect the data on the upper surface of the atmosphere. And here the mentees are going to discuss, about the sounding rockets. First of all, they have to start with what about the history and the evolution of the sounding rockets, applications, as well as advantages and the limitation, and working principle of the sounding rocket. So now let's discuss the topics from our side, the contribution from the topic. So let's start with one.
So, good afternoon everyone. My name is Kritika Patra from third year aerospace. So, now we are going to discuss about the historical background and purpose of the sounding rockets. So, sounding rockets were first developed after the World War II using the modified military rockets. Their main purpose was to study the region of atmosphere which are too high for the balloons and too low for the satellite to reach the orbit. So approximately they are like 30 to 300 kilometer altitude. So their main purpose was to study the ionosphere and the atmospheric compositions and solar radiations, and also the microgravity phenomena.
Happy afternoon. I am Kavyashri from Aerospace Department third year. So let me discuss about the configuration and the components of the working principle of the sounding rockets. Basically, sounding rocket will have a nose cone in which the payload is stored. The payload is the main component which to be taken into the altitude, peak altitude. So down the payload there is a solid motor. There will be one motor or more than one motor which gives the thrust, and below that there has a stabilization fields which will control the
atmospheric sensors, astrophysical instruments, and magnetometer, microgravity instruments, modules, and plasma probes. So these instruments and payloads carry real-time data, which is they transmit the real-time data, and also they are actually physically recovering for post-flight analysis.
Good afternoon everyone. My name is Srimati from third year Aerospace Engineering. I am going to tell about advantage and limitation of sounding rocket. The main advantage of sounding rocket, first one, low cost compared to satellite mission, and then quick development and launch. Experiment can be repeated easily. So useful for students and technology testing. And limitations, can't reach or stay in orbit, and limited payload mass, and despite limitations, sounding rocket are valuable research and technology validation.
Good afternoon everyone. In India, ISRO uses sound rockets like RH200, RH300, RH526. This rocket launched from the Tumba in Kerala. This mainly used for a study of the atmosphere and doing space research and testing the new technologies before sending the satellites into the space. In conclusion, the sounding rockets are mainly used in space research, and these are help the scientists test ideas and experiments between the ground testing and the full of the space missions. So they play in the key role of the space science and the engineering in India. Thank you.
It's a nice contribution from our mentors from the third year aerospace on sounding rockets. They have contributed and they have discussed mostly on working principles and applications and advantages, and as well as they got about the various thoughts with the history and the evolution. All the things they have been discussed, especially this Harvest series is called Rohini series for the sounding example, good examples. These kind of things have been easily contributed from our students. Then we will have another session with our mentees with a different topic. We will meet once again in the English class. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.